Chapter 7. Lightly. As soon as the fitting was over, Dre ran to the tournament grounds. If she was lucky, she'd catch the second half of the riding competition. She still wore the black and silver of her house, and the colors felt like chains on her arms. Luckily, her tournament clothes and swords were packed in her bag slung over her shoulder. Dre! Dre! It was Roma, waving to an empty seat. Did I miss Sen? No, not yet. Our guild is showing, though. Anders and Dan both rode and did great. The event was loosely structured. The riding competition wasn't scored by points, but served as a demonstration of skill and creativity. Riders showcased their horses' training by shifting between cadences and canters, executing side steps, or backing up. Most followed with jumps or strikes against the dummies. Performances varied in sequence and style, which kept the audience guessing. It's Sinjab. Roma grabbed Dre's arm, pointing excitingly. Is he barefoot? Dre squinted, amused. Sen's horse stepped calmly out of the stall, then sidestepped into a crescent pattern. With a light hop, Sen stood on the horse's back and Rump raised his hand above his brow, scanning the area like a scout. He held his bow and arrow in the other. He was shirtless, too. Dre swallowed. His body was compact and carved, like a blade made to be thrown, not swung. Her gaze slid down his chest, across his stomach. He was beautiful. And more. One of her closest friends had become something else, something dangerous, something new. He stepped forward and just as suddenly slid off the side of the animal. A woman near Dre clutched her chest. Heavens! His feet didn't touch the ground. Sen caught the saddle with one arm, swung himself back up, and landed hard. The horse lurched into a gallop. A man whispered, "He caught himself on the stirrup, darling." They cleared the barricades in rapid succession. In true desert fashion, at the height of the third leap, he twisted and loosed an arrow at the target behind him. "Bullseye at the leap!" another shouted, standing to cheer. Tossing the bow down, Sen faced forward and pulled the horse to a sudden stop. People clapped and cheered. Then he backed the horse up, slow and tight, turning the animal as he went. The horse spun to face the attack dummy. Incredible control. A man whispered behind him, "That horse trusts the lad." They broke into a gallop again, but just before reaching the target, the horse veered off. Sen jumped down mid-run, rolled, and came up to his feet. He sprinted, leapt, and drove his blade into the dummy. Once into the gut, and then higher into the chest. He scrambled up the frame until he stood on the top. The horse circled back. Sen timed the jump and landed cleanly on the moving saddle. His step was graceful, delicate to the horse, who barely acknowledged the weight. He trotted to the gate and dismounted in a flurry, a kind of flip, landing beside his horse. Then he bowed low. The crowd exploded. Sen was still catching his breath, walking Ekon back to the stables. Cade met him there. "You were supposed to close standing on him," Cade reminded, slightly disappointed. "He doesn't like it, Cade. I think I'm too heavy." Sen's cheeks were a bit red from more than exertion. Cade paused, looking up at the boy. His face wrinkled into a smile, and he laughed as he brought his hand from his forehead to Dex's. "Dex, when do children grow? The boy who clung to my leg will tower over me now?" Cade laughed, pretending frustration. Dex looked down at his own body, a bit frustrated. "I'd rather not be much taller than you." Cade was shorter than most men, but broad and stronger than most would guess. Cade patted his shoulder. "Your people are big. You will be big. It's not a bad thing. Come on, let's take care of Ekon. He did well out there." The girls abandoned their seats and rushed down toward the field. They could catch up with Sinjab at the arena's adjacent stable. When they reached him, he was speaking with Cade, who, by the look of it, was offering congratulations. Sen had slipped into his shirt, which, while open, was already soaked through with sweat. Dre got there first and hugged him tightly. Their cheeks brushed for a moment. Once released, Roma threw her arms around him as well. Cade pushed the brush across Ekon's plate, murmuring to her, "You did a good job, too." "Oh," Roma groaned, pulling back and looking down at the sweat now smeared across her blouse. She crinkled her nose. "Not my fault, Roma," Sen laughed. Dre grinned. "I got it worse, besides." "Sen, I don't remember the part of the show where you got stuck in a rainstorm," Roma teased. "It's not that easy, Roma. You made it look easy. Really. I'm so proud of you, Sen." Dre reached up to ruffle his blonde hair, but paused when her fingers touched his head. "No," she thought. Instead, she gently brushed his hair back. Job noticed the subtle shift. His cheeks flushed, just a touch more than they already were. Kate continued to tend the horse, but addressed the trio. "You have 2 hours before the combat competition begins. Eat," he said. Then turning to them, brush in hand, he pointed a finger into Sen's chest. "Lightly, Dex." Cade watched the three leave. Dex, being taller than him, left an ache in his chest he wasn't expecting. He spoke quietly to Ekon as he brushed. When he was a boy, some used to call him a little ghost. There weren't many northerners running around. He acts like us, Ekon. He talks like us now, but he'll always be different. They rushed towards the arena gates, running to a favorite food cart. Once settled, they nibbled on dry fruit, meat, and cheese. Roma rolled a tired-looking orange in her hand, smiling sadly. "When I was young, very young, before, well, we used to go to the sea. There were whole orchards of oranges and lemons, little green limes. You could pick them off the ground, and they were fresher than this." She peeled the orange carefully. Dre nodded. "Still, all we usually get are dates and raisins. Everything is desiccated." She stuck her tongue out in fake disgust. "Have you ever had an apple? I had an uncle with a farm in the mountains to the east. They have apples." "What's it like?" Rema asked. "Oh, it's crunchy and juicy, like a giant cherry, but instead of one big seed, it has little ones," Dre explained. "I've had an apple," Sen announced. "It's white on the inside and green on the outside." "No, it's red," Dre corrected. "The one I had was green," Sen shrugged. "It was a long time ago." They in silence for a while, Sen scarfing down cheese and fruit, Roma delicately savoring her orange, and Dre nibbling unhappily on a fig. "What's wrong with you, Dre?" Roma slapped her leg playfully. "Something sad. Well, it's kind of a long story, but Fatia set me up with this boy from the Akawan." She explained their meeting and the boy's strange death. Sen made a face. "You don't have to marry him now." The girls looked at him aghast. "It's true," Sen sighed. "Maybe it's best you just count yourself fortunate." "I liked him," Dre said quietly. "Enough to marry?" Sen asked. "Don't be harsh, Sen. He was kind to her," Roma said, pushing on Sen's shoulder. "Once. He was nice to her once." Sen stood up and moved a bit further away from Roma. "You don't know who he was. He could have been in love with half of the Violet Lantern and tricking you." "What are you talking about, Sen?" Dre interrupted, confused. "He was conning you, Dre, pretending to fix the problem so you'd put it out of your mind. Then, the day of the wedding, he suddenly appears and, oops, he couldn't fix it." Sen shook his head. "You spend too much time with Cade. His wickedness is rubbing off on you." Roma tossed a date at him. Sen caught it and ate it. "I'm sorry. Maybe. The two of you are easy marks sometimes. I worry that you don't see how people can be." Dre considered. Sen could be right. He knew more about the darkness in people than she did, but her gut said otherwise. "There's something else," Dre continued. "June." She explained how he had cornered her at the Akawan feasts. Last night? Roma whispered, suddenly chilled. What about last night? Sen asked, irritated to be out of the loop. Roma told the story about the attack at the pond. Syphis, Sen made a face. They have a bad reputation. I'm not surprised Jum is the same. This man is hunting you, Dre. Roma was upset. She frowned, remembering the vision. I get visions. Sometimes they mean nothing. Sometimes, when I touched Jum last night, I saw his hands strangling you. He was laughing. He wants to hurt you. He wants to own you. Roma shivered. I'm sure of it. Sen stood up. He sent guild members to distract your guard. It was a question, but Sen was sure of it. Roma saw his thoughts. Sen's face was getting red. His fists tightened and untightened. Roma, he was strangling me? Dre's hands went instinctively to her throat. Roma nodded solemnly. Why didn't you tell me right away? Dre asked, surprised. I see many things. It's not always clear. I wasn't sure, and at the time, I'm sorry, Dre. Dre wrapped her arms around Roma. No wonder why you were like that. You might have saved my life. Roma nodded in Dre's arms. I think he killed Tavon, Dre added. Her shoulders shook a little. Because of me. No, Dre. This isn't your fault. We need to talk to Cade. We have to tell him everything, Sen added. They ran to Cade. When they got there, Cade dismissed them immediately. Armor up! You're both on in under an hour. Sen started. Sir, we need to tell you. Tell me later. Or, Roma, can you tell me this thing? Cade asked. Roma nodded. Good. Go! Suit up! Cade commanded, pointing them to their supply tent. He stayed behind to listen to Roma tell the story. Dre and Sen pivoted and ran without a word. Inside the tent, she stripped out of her house colors and into her gear, worn leather reinforced with bone-plated segments. Sen faced the other direction, lacing his jerkin. Her arm brushed against his side, a brief flash of skin on skin. Sen doubled his focus on his own armor. Dre grunted, cursing slightly, trying to buckle her own side straps. I got it, he said, stepping in close. He wrapped his arms around her, as if in a hug. His head tilted. She could smell his hair. He felt her breath on his neck. She held her arms out, not daring to touch him back. She tilted her head away from his neck, suddenly and strangely filled with a desire to press her face into him. His fingers worked silently, cinching the buckles snug across her ribs. He had done this 100 times, but this time his hands shook. He pulled tightly and stepped away, a signal that he was done. She returned the favor, tightening his shoulder guards, tucking stray ends beneath loops. Sen kept his eyes from meeting hers, trying to control his breathing, his growing desire. Outside, the warm-up ring waited. A wide stretch of sand and shade where the clang of steel was already ringing. They took turns sparring with wooden blades, testing reflexes, gauging timing, not talking. Cade leaned on the rail, arms folded. Take it seriously, he said without preamble. People die in these. Sen paused. Dre's in danger. Cade slapped the pole. Get your head where it needs to be, boy. Roma told me everything. Cade gestured to the ground firmly. Right now, right here. You are both in danger. There is live steel out there and real threats. Dre glanced up. It's a friendly competition. Cade's jaw tightened. There is no such thing as friendly when a grudge gets blood on it. Guildmates, training partners, even lovers. Doesn't matter. Once swords are drawn, people forget who's family and who isn't. Sen looked to Dre. She was already nodding. Cade straightened. Win if you can. Impress if you can't. But leave your pride in the sand if it keeps you breathing. And focus. He left without another word.